Our med is still in 2 Corinthians 10, verse 3 says, "For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, and having in readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled." The last time we talked about that we needed to recognize that we were struggling, recognize that we had a problem. The second thing I believe you need to do is realize or identify what that problem is. It says here, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God. That word imagination there means to compute or sort of like to calculate. Do you sit when you face trouble and battles and try to figure everything out? Do you lay awake at night saying, how do I do this? Well, that doesn't work. We have to recognize when we have battles of mind, and we need to figure it out. The other day I had a trouble come, some bad news come that I thought, and it was a text came through. And immediately my mind started trying to figure out what was the motive behind the text, why that person I thought was mad at me, why they texted me. And it really wasn't that bad. My mind was just creating a lot of things. You know what I had? I had imaginations. I also allowed it to fall into it being higher than my relationship with God because I was not focusing that God could take care of anything. I was making a big deal out of that text. I had recently been studying this passage, and I had to recognize that this was bothering me. And I actually talked to my pastor about it, and he started laughing, and he said, "You're making too big a deal out of this. Just trust the Lord." But I recognized what was bothering me, recognized that text was bothering me, gave it to the Lord, and it was neat to see that text was nothing. And often that's the way in our life. Sometimes it is something, but often we've created it in our minds. So we need to recognize that we're in trouble. We need to realize what it is that's bothering us. Realize what is greater than our relationship with God that is controlling our thoughts.